Hi everyone, I'm Tang Tang from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a warm winter set, the bunny style. This product includes gloves and ear warmers. Let's start with the ear warmers. It's divided into the stem, front body, back body. Ear main part, inner ear, flowers, and finished product eyes and nose. Let's start with the stem. Begin with a chain ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The stitches used are CH chain, X single crochet and slip stitch. Now watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. First, let's look at the chart. In the chart, R plus number indicates round number. H plus number indicates row number. Increases and decreases explanation column indicates the stitch techniques used when crocheting the current round, including increases and decreases. Total stitches column shows the total number of stitches. After completing all stitches in the current round, take the corresponding yarn. I'm using random colors here. For specific yarn, refer to the color scheme and hook size in the detail page of our product and paper instructions. The original yarn is hard to see stitch loops when crocheting. Learn the method from the video first. Then start crocheting. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail and tie a slip knot. Insert the hook into the knotted loop. Adjust the loop size. Hold the yarn with left hand. Hold the hook with right hand. Next, cast on is 6ch. Join with slip stitch to first stitch to form a circle. This indicates the casting on method is foundation chain. Cast on 6 stitches. Because the yarn has long fibers, stitch loops are hard to see when crocheting. Therefore, need to mark in advance. Take a stitch marker. Pick up the right strand below the hook to mark. This strand. After marking, crochet 1 chain stitch. The stitch marker position is the first stitch. Next, crochet the second stitch. Need to mark before crocheting. Continue to crochet the remaining chains. Pay attention to the marking. The third stitch. The fourth stitch. The fifth stitch. The sixth stitch. After completing, insert into the first chain stitch, which is the stitch marker position, join with a slip stitch. Pay attention, chains should not be twisted. Insert. Yarn over and draw through. Pull through all loops on the hook in once. Slip stitch completed. The slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch, tighten it. The slip stitch is not indicated in the form. When crocheting in rounds, always finish by joining with a slip stitch and tighten. Casting on completed. Now crochet the first round. The chart shows 6x. The number in front indicates how many single crochets to work. Pick up the stitch above the chain stitch, and work 1 single crochet in each stitch. This is the stitch marker position. Before crocheting the first stitch, remove the stitch marker. Pick up both loops below the hook to mark. This is the entire mark. Insert the hook into the marked stitch, and make 1 single crochet. This way, the first single crochet stitch is at the stitch marker position. You can add another stitch marker on this marker. To distinguish the first stitch position, the stitch marker at the starting point of the first stitch can be removed. Next, pick up the second stitch marker position, and work 1 single crochet. You can mark it before crocheting. Afterwards, work 1 single crochet in each stitch at the stitch marker positions. If you initially can't distinguish the stitches, you can mark the entire loop on the hook with a stitch marker before each stitch, before crocheting each stitch. You should always mark the entire loop on the hook with a stitch marker. After completing the last stitch, you must place a stitch marker. Because the stitch count is low, the fabric will naturally curl, which is normal. Flip the right side out. And the first round is complete. Take a look. Whichever side has more fuzz, use that as the right side. In my case, the side facing us while crocheting is the wrong side, and the other side is the right side. Use one strand of yarn to mark the right side. Move on to the second round. Make one beginning chain. Work even single crochets on the previous round stitches. Since the number of stitches is small, place a stitch marker in every stitch. Join with a slip stitch. The second round is complete. Move on to the third round. Make one beginning chain. Follow the same crocheting method as round 2. Work even single crochets on the previous round stitches. Join with a slip stitch. The third round is complete. For the remaining rounds, follow the same demonstration as round 3. Or crochet until reaching the desired length. Adjust the number of rounds as needed. After completing the final round, secure with a chain stitch. Leave a 30 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Take the ear warmer frame and thread it through the center of the post. Position it here. Remove the stitch marker. Set it aside for later use. Now let's learn the front piece. Start with a foundation chain. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Use B single crochet increase, a single crochet decrease. Skip stitches. Watch my demonstration. Take the corresponding yarn. I'm using random colors here. Leave a 5-10 cm yarn tail, and tie a slip knot. Insert the hook into the knotted loop. Hold the yarn with left hand. Hold the hook with right hand. The next step is 2ch, which means starting with chain stitches. Make 2 chain stitches. Because the yarn has long fibers, it's hard to see the stitches clearly when crocheting, so we need to mark them in advance. Take a stitch marker. Pick up any strand below the hook to mark. Then work 2 chains. Casting on is complete. Now work the first round. The chart shows December the 2nd, 7x. The here means the stitches in the parentheses are worked into the same stitch. December the 2nd means starting crocheting from the second to last stitch of the beginning chain, counting back from the hook side, 1, 2. This is the second to last stitch, which is the stitch marker position. Work 7 single crochets. Take a stitch marker and pick up 2 strands below the hook to mark. This is the full marker. Insert the hook into the marked stitch, and work 1 single crochet first. This marked stitch is the first single crochet stitch. So the first stitch is completed. Continue inserting into the starting chain stitch marker position. Work the required number of single crochets. The stitch pattern corresponding to the chart is completed. Remove the starting chain stitch marker. Then work a slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch of this round to finish, which means crocheting at the left side stitch marker position. Slip stitch completed. This completes the first round. The side facing us while crocheting is the wrong side. The other side is the right side. Use one strand of yarn to mark the right side. I won't mark it here. Move on to crochet round 2. Our 2 is 7V. The number before V indicates how many. Work that many single crochet increases in a row. Here it means working 7 single crochet increases in a row. Make one beginning chain. Work one single crochet increase into the first stitch of the previous round. Insert into the slip stitch insertion point of the previous round, which is also where the first stitch marker is placed. Work 2 single crochets here. Place the starting tail above the hook while crocheting. Weave in the ends as you go along. Pay attention, mark first, then crochet. To distinguish. You can place another stitch marker on the first stitch. 1 stitch. Two stitches. This completes the single crochet increase. The first stitch marker from the previous round can be removed. Continue working single crochet increases into the left side stitch. Don't forget to weave in the ends. Since we marked stitch markers for every stitch in the previous round, simply insert into the marked stitch position to crochet. If only the first and last stitches were marked with stitch markers, this yarn makes it hard to see the stitches. So feel with your hands. Push aside the fluffy fibers above. You'll faintly see 2 strands of yarn. Below feels like a small dent. Pick that small dent to crochet. Or you can also use a yarn needle. First insert into the previous stitch's insertion point. Then pick up the next stitch from behind. Basically this stitch is the stitch. Make a single crochet increase on this stitch. This round requires 7 single crochet increases. For the rest, work 2 single crochets into every stitch. After completing the last single crochet increase, check the stitch count. Count the stitches starting from the stitch marker position. 1, 2, 3. 13. 14. This round totals 14 stitches. When there's no stitch marker, just feel and count 1 stitch at a time. Go a bit slower. The total stitch count for each round is clearly marked in the corresponding chart. From now on, I won't mention it again. Next, join with a slip stitch in the first stitch. Pay attention. After finishing each round, always join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. The extra yarn tail from the starting chain can be cut off directly, or continue to weave it in. This completes round 2. Continue crocheting round 3. Our 3 is x v times 7. The parentheses here indicate a group. Times number indicates the number of times to repeat the pattern. Make 1 beginning chain. I'll emphasize again. You must work a beginning chain at the start of each round. I won't mention this again later. Now we're getting familiar with crocheting this yarn. Starting from this round, reduce the number of stitch markers. Mark every 3 stitches with a stitch marker. Mark the entire round of stitches, or you can mark according to your preferred stitch count. Here I'll use 3 stitches as an example. Also, always mark the first and last stitch of each round. Don't forget. Now let's crochet this round. First mark them. Then make a single crochet in the first stitch of the previous round. Make a single crochet increase in the left stitch. This completes one group, X, V. Let me demonstrate another group. First, make a single crochet. You can mark this stitch. Then make a single crochet increase in the left stitch. This is the second group. Repeat X, V, 7 times in this round. For the remaining 5 times, all are single crochets. Make 2 single crochets into the same stitch for the remaining. Remember to mark every 3 stitches. Join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Pull tight. This completes the third round. Now crochet the fourth round. Round 4 is X, V, X times 7. Because the stitch markers from the previous round are not marked on every stitch, so as you crochet this round, before each stitch, find the stitch position, hold it with your hand, then crochet. Keep the position held steady while crocheting. After completing, feel the adjacent stitch on the left side, which is the small hole position. There should be a noticeable dent. If you can't find it, use a needle to insert into the small hole for assistance. The stitch is easier to insert into compared to other positions. Pay attention to keep the stitch close to the edge of the fabric. Hold this position and continue crocheting. When making a single crochet increase, keep your fingers placed here at all times. Ensure both single crochets are worked into the same stitch. Continue crocheting downward. After confirming the position with your fingers, then work the next stitch. This completes a group X, V, X according to the chart. Continue with one single crochet into the left stitch. This round, we mark every 4 stitches. One single crochet increase. One single crochet. This is the second group. Continue crocheting downward using the previous method. After completing all stitches, join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. This completes the 4th round. Move on to the 5th round. R5 is 3 single crochets, V, X7, when there are many stitches in a round. You can refer to the stitch markers from the previous round while crocheting. Check the stitch count and position for the current round. To avoid missing any stitches, if you really can't find the stitch, you can also use the stitch marker positions marked in the previous round, combined with the stitch count of the current round. Insert the hook where it's easy to reach, and near the edge of the fabric. After completing, check the total stitches against the marked stitch markers. It should match the target stitch count. If you find the total stitches are wrong after finishing, you need to unravel back to the first stitch marked in the previous round. Unravel slowly. Remember to pull the yarn loop back at the end. Then recrochet the current round. This round is marked every 5 stitches. Follow the pattern chart and marking method. Complete this round. This completes round 5. Now let's crochet round 6. The chart for this round says, flow, even 35x. Flow means front loop only. A stitch has 2 loops like this. The one closer to you is the front loop. The one farther from you is the back loop. For this round, pick up the front loops only. Because the yarn is special. Work slightly slower when crocheting. Keep the stitch marker from the previous round for now. You can first insert the hook into both loops of the stitch. Then use your hand to remove the back loop. Pick up the front loop and work a single crochet. Work slightly slower when crocheting. Check the stitch count after completing each section between markers. Remember to mark every 5 stitches as well. This completes round 6. Now you can remove the stitch markers from the previous round. Be careful not to remove the wrong stitch markers. Now let's work round 7. This round is simply picking up stitches from the previous round, and working single crochets evenly. Pay attention to picking up the stitches, not picking up the front loops. Check the stitch count as you crochet. Move the stitch markers along as you go. After completing round 7, proceed to round 8. Move the stitch markers along together. First work the corresponding number of single crochets according to the chart. After completing, work 3 chains. These 3 stitches need to be marked before crocheting. Completed. Skip 3 stitches below. Start single crocheting from the next stitch. Remember to mark the first stitch. Work all the way down this round. This completes round 8. Now let's work round 9. This round's crocheting method is similar to round 6. When encountering stitches, pick up the front loops for crocheting. When encountering chain spaces, work at the stitch marker position. Note that after the first stitch, place a marker on the back loop. To distinguish, mark this stitch marker with a piece of yarn. Afterwards, mark every 5 stitches. If you have extra stitch markers at home, you can mark each back loop. The marked positions are for working the final round. If you don't have extra stitch markers, cut a piece of cotton yarn, thread the needle. Mark with cotton yarn after each stitch. If you're familiar with the positions, you can skip marking. This completes the 9th round. Now work the final round. BLO means back loop only. This round involves picking up the remaining half stitches from round 8. Start by picking the first stitch. Make 1 slip stitch. Carry the yarn across the transition area. Do not tighten. Make 1 beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet at the slip stitch insertion point. Remember to mark. Once completed, pick up half loops on the left side, and work 2 single crochets. The next stitch is a single crochet decrease. First insert into the left side, and draw the yarn through. Then insert into the adjacent position and draw the yarn through. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all loops at once. This completes 1 single crochet decrease. This completes the group of stitches within the brackets in the chart. To make it clearer for everyone, I'll demonstrate using cotton yarn. Single crochet decrease. Insert the hook into the left stitch. Yarn over and pull through. This is an incomplete single crochet. Insert into the adjacent stitch. Yarn over and pull through. Complete 2 incomplete single crochets. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over the hook. Pull through all 3 loops one by one. Pull the yarn through. 1 single crochet decrease is completed. This is the method of working for single crochet decrease. I'll demonstrate another group. First, pick up the front loop, and work 3 single crochets. Then, make one single crochet decrease in the adjacent position. Insert into the front loops of the next 2 stitches and pull the yarn through each. Yarn over and pull through all loops. This completes the single crochet decrease. The second group of stitches is completed. This round requires 7 such groups in total. Complete the remaining 5 groups according to the pattern chart. Join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. This completes the last round. Chain 1 to secure. Leave a yarn tail about 4 times the length of the last round and cut the yarn. Hide the excess yarn tail inside the fabric. Set aside for later use. This completes the front body. Now let's learn the back body. Start with a foundation chain. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The first 4 rounds are worked the same as the front body. The 5th round is crocheting even by picking up the front loops only. Note that the back loops need to be marked here. In the last round except for the first stitch position, no need to mark the remaining positions. Leave a 5-10 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. I've already crocheted this part in advance. Now take one front body piece, and one back body piece for assembly. To make it clearer, I'll demonstrate the method using cotton yarn first. Thread the reserved yarn from the front piece into the yarn needle. Place both pieces with right sides facing out. For the back body, sew into the second to last round's insertion point. Which is above the remaining half stitch. For the front body, sew into the last round of stitches. When sewing, first insert into the back bodice sewing position. Insert into any stitch. Pull out through the adjacent stitch. For the front body, pull out from the wrong side. Insert into the adjacent position. Gently tighten. This completes one stitch. Continue with the second stitch. Insert into the back body, where you pulled out last time. Pull out through the adjacent position on the left side. The front bodice previous insertion point. Pull out upwards. Insert into the adjacent position on the left side. Gently tighten. This completes the second stitch. Continue sewing. This is the third stitch. The fourth stitch. The following steps follow this demonstration. Sew until just past the halfway point. When demonstrating with the original yarn, it's not very clear due to the yarn color. Sew slightly slower while sewing. Feel and sew one stitch at a time. Remove the marker position while sewing. Next, take out the ear cup frame bowl. Place the flatter side against the front body. Align the larger hole at the top. With the hole on the front body. Remember to remove the stitch markers inside the fabric piece. Then take out the ear cup frame. Thread it through this hole. Pay attention, the back body is close to the ear. Continue threading down to the hole below. Once completed, continue sewing. Add a small amount of stuffing while sewing. Sew all the way around this circle. Finally, tie off and weave in the ends. Weave in a few extra stitches. Next, thread the reserved yarn of the rod into the sewing needle. Sew the rod to this hole with a few stitches. Secure it firmly. Just make sure the fray marks are not visible. Once securely fixed, tie off and weave in the ends. The installation method for the other side is identical to this side. Now the front and back bodies are assembled.